how the 8th Parliament of Ghana closes is a testament to the track record and a litmus test of the governing NPP's competence. In this episode of Hot Issues, we explore Parliament's debacle and impact it may or may not have on the December polls. The thought that each party could be attempting to impress its base of voters isn't far-fetched, as both sides haggle it out for the majority caucus. But could there be lessons in there for the future parliament or the country at large? I am Kemeni Amano, and my guest is an experienced parliamentarian of 16 years, and he's the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament and Member of Parliament for Bekwai constituency. My guest is Joseph Osewusu. Honorable, thanks for sitting with us here on Hot Issues.
You're welcome.
What do you make of how events are playing out in Parliament?
Well, it's a reflection of the politics of today, of the things that we place emphasis on, of things that, in my view, should be in the background, of things that do not add any value to our work as MPs. I'm disappointed. I think that those are not the things that should take the front stage when we're discussing Parliament.
And you're disappointed, as in it doesn't matter who is on the majority side and who is not?
It does. It does. But why are we behaving as we're doing when in the past, in the previous 3 parliaments I've been in, such matters are discussed indoors, at the leadership level? How is now playing out in the open? Who is whipping members to be agitated and showing off their machoism? What value does that serve?
What or who could be responsible for that?
I'm not interested in what or who. It is reflecting badly on Parliament. What we should do is, as for having controversy, it has always been with Parliament. The reason Parliament is called Parliament because a reflection of the various shades of ideas in the country. And it is expected, it is natural that members of Parliament will often disagree. But we don't, unless it's a national policy, a national budget discussion, a national policy discussion, when it comes to the things that relate to our work, we do a lot of discussion. At leadership level, even at committee leadership level, we discuss what we cannot agree on. We agree to disagree. That is when then the majority will take the vote. But so if you look critically at our work, more than 90% of our work are done by consensus. It doesn't mean that we don't debate it. It means that we do a lot of backroom negotiations. Sometimes you have to bring the other party. Let's say my experience in the 4th Parliament, in my 7th Parliament, when I was my 3rd term, when I became a Deputy Speaker, I realized that a lot of the issues, we will not agree to this, I say it in public. What is it? Okay, Minister, can you come? The minority is proposing this ABC. If we remove this and add this, will that affect your program? We'll discuss all those things. And then you hear that we come into the chamber and we announce that we agree on consensus. What it means is that we've done a lot of backroom discussions.
Is what we see today a failure on leadership or of leadership?
Well, I do not intend to make any value judgment on leadership, but for me, we are moving away from the values of Parliament, how Parliament had run over the years. We are demonstrating the worst part of us. Even in the past, there have always been significant differences between the minority and the majority. It is this time that we have almost equal members. That's the worst part of us is manifesting. But it may be also a reflection of the times. I regret to observe, and the Speaker has made that observation. I think there are too many young people in Parliament now. Too many young people the older you grow, the more drama doesn't appeal to you. You want results. And getting results means focusing on the critical things. There's too much drama on things that we could easily discuss and agree on.
And this drama is because there's too much young blood in there?
I think so.
But many of you are leaving.
Well, it was bound to happen one way or the other. It's not just that leaving, but now it looks like the voices of the elders are drowned.
Why do you think that is so?
I don't know why. Both sides have changed their leadership. And they've brought the younger and more vibrant people up front. Both sides of the house. But when I joined, the leaders were a lot more matured, a lot more committed and focusing on the critical things, the things that are a lot more value to Ghanaians than the things that divide us as a parliament.
I see. I want us to look at some of the issue even before we come back to the topic of parliamentary leadership now, but some of the issues that have come up as a result of this difference in or differences in Parliament. The fact that some have said that Speaker Alban Bagbin shouldn't have declared the seats vacant. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, those matters are before the Supreme Court. And I'd rather keep my thoughts to myself, lest I be hauled for the court for contempt. But that's the real issue is the interpretation of who has vacated a seat by what conduct. The Supreme Court will determine that.
But, I mean, when you think about it, does that require interpretation to start with?
Why not? I think so. I think so. There's been, in fact, different interpretations by different speakers. I was one of the people who entered Parliament as an independent member. Then I contested on the, I filed on the ticket of NPP in 2012. The speaker then didn't even invite me to say anything because he said he thought what I had done was toward the next Parliament. So nobody asked me any question. Right.
I mean, so if it was not a problem then, why should it be a problem today?
Well, and there are several other examples.
Absolutely.
So I think that a final pronouncement by the Supreme Court will put the matter to rest.
Could this also be because your side in Parliament, the NPP caucus, is overplaying its hand in this?
How? I don't see hands being played.
Well, they lost the majority after the Speaker's pronouncement. Perhaps they could have just taken it in good strides.
Really? Even if it is unconstitutional in your view? That's my view. Indeed. When Speaker Okwe announced that Honorable Second Deputy Speaker, then at the time he was a member, had vacated his seat, the then majority leader, Honorable Techiman South, told him straight away in the face that I don't agree with you. I don't. But you see, at that time, the member himself was not interested in pursuing the matter. And many other members told him to take the issue to court. Because I thought, and I told Che I agree with him entirely, and I think that it does not lie in the mouth of the Speaker to make that declaration. So, but unfortunately, it's being, this Speaker says that, another Speaker says that, another. So let's bring a final interpretation to the matter.
So what that means.
Yes. You know, what everybody must remember, when it comes to constitution, the law is what the Supreme says it is. What the Supreme Court says is the law. And so we should wait for the Supreme Court to pronounce on that and let this matter rest forever. So
what do we have now? 2 majority sides in Parliament?
Well, there's no sides now. Should I say, I'm not interested, practically, I'm not interested in that controversy. I thought it was needless. It ought not to have come about at all. Right, and then one group said, I'll take the seat by force. Why was that necessary? If it was truly the genuine situation, the administrative wing of Parliament would make the changes. You know, but I didn't see the administrative side making any changes. In any case, where we are now, where we're sitting now, is a temporary place. It's a temporary arrangement. You know, so for me, the side that you're fighting for, you will leave there very soon. It is not part of Parliament. It is a temporary sitting arrangement. So why fight about sides?
And then Speaker back then couldn't, you know, make any comment on the Supreme Court's orders to Parliament because your side decided to walk out. Was that a wise decision?
I don't know whether it was the reason he didn't make any comment.
Oh, because he couldn't get quorum for decision making.
No, but it was not a decision, it was an announcement. What he thought or did not think about the Supreme Court ruling, it was not a decision to be taken by the House. It is when you have a quorum issue with the House. The quorum relates to decisions of the House of Parliament, not the Speaker. You know, but as I said, those matters are before the Supreme Court. I truly wish that the Supreme Court will quickly settle those matters once and for all, so we don't have a repeat of.
I mean, should the NPP caucus have abandoned Parliament on that day?
What were the words of the majority leader? I heard him. I was not in town, but I heard him said the minority caucus is threatening mayhem. They have come. Fortunately, I also read discussion on their group platform in which they're suggesting bringing people from outside, violence. So the majority leader said he will not give them the theater to denigrate Parliament. Indeed, if we encourage any such thing, we're denigrating our own selves as representatives.
Is that what it was?
Yes, that is what it was. I agree with that matter, the majority leader's position that we will not be part of anything which will generate into violence. I entirely agree with him on that.
I see. And so for those who think that this matter should have gone to the High Court other than the Supreme Court, what do you say to those people?
See, there are two matters involved here. If there was an issue as to whether or not to declare the seat or the seats of those members as vacated, I was the only one. The High Court would be the forum. But when there's an issue as to whether if a member of, like my case, a member of the Fifth Parliament files papers towards election into the Sixth Parliament, it means abandoning or crossing carpet in the Fifth Parliament. That is a constitutional interpretation. So there are two issues that people are confusing them.
I see.
If there was a clear case of you have done A, B, C, D, it amounts to, it means you have vacated your seat. And probably a particular MP is refusing, and Mr. Speaker is also not taking any step, then the person may go to the High Court for a declaration that this person, or if, for example, I have abandoned Parliament for 1 year, I've not stepped into Parliament, and somebody thought that it was unfair for my constituents. So somebody from my constituency can go to the High Court, that in the face of A, B, C, D, E, our MP advocated.
Well, are you talking about 99? Article 99?
Yes.
Right. But you also, I mean, it says that, you know, if there is a question about whether or not an MP has vacated his seat, the High Court has jurisdiction.
Yes. And that's the point I'm making, that the circumstance, for example, as I'm not attending Parliament for 1 year, there's a parliamentary procedure for dealing with that. Nobody in Parliament is taking any action in that. Then my constituency may go to court. Somebody from my constituency may go to the High Court, seeking that because of A, B, C, D, E, this member of Parliament has abandoned his seat. But now the issue is the interpretation of the steps that you've taken. Does it amount to crossing carpet? These are the two things that either you are elected independent, that you offered to join another party, another party, or you elected in party A, you voted to join Party C. In that case, if it happens within this parliament, as in the case of the member for Tamale, or the Tamale Central, or Nobu Wayoseni, it was within 2 years or so being elected a member of parliament that said, no, I don't think I belong here. So he made a statement and crossed over to the other side. That classical example of leaving,
right,
betraying the trust of those who voted for you.
So, I mean, how is that different from the situation we have today?
No, you see, every step that has been taken by the MPs involved are towards the next parliament. Can you argue that they have betrayed the trust of those who voted for him for the 8th parliament? That, in my view, is a question that the Supreme Court will have to...
Well, but if that is the case, then there wouldn't have been any constitutional provisions towards the whether or not there should be a by-election.
No. You see, you're young. You don't know the history of this, the history of that clause. In the First Republic, members who have been elected on the ticket of Party A are cajoled, persuaded, or somehow forced to cross carpet. In the course, the people of Bekwai elect me on the ticket of UP. Then in the chamber, I said I've joined CPP. The people gave me the mandate to represent them. So you have no right, personally, to decide to send their mandate to. In that case, you are betraying their mandate.
Right.
And that is what the Supreme Court says that. The Constitution says that if you do any such thing, go back to them for them to decide whether they agree with you or they should bring somebody else to represent them. Now, in this case, this parliament, let's use this 8th parliament. 8th parliament has ended, practically. So processes for the 9th parliament, election for the 9th parliament, is what is ongoing now. So you decide that, well, I came to parliament on the ticket of Party A, but I want to return to parliament on the another party's ticket. That decision will be taken by the electorate, whether they will permit you to go back to parliament in the party you're offering or not, will be taken by the electorate.
And not the Speaker of Parliament?
No. No, the Speaker doesn't come in at all. You're talking about whether or not you return to Parliament on ticket A or ticket B. It's an election matter, right? So once you go back and the people say, yes, we voted for you on Party B, but you've demonstrated that irrespective of the party on which you represent that well, so still we'll vote for you to go on Party B. I've seen members of Parliament who came to Parliament on the party's ticket, yes. It was my neighboring constituency. He lost the primaries and he filed to contest for independent. Nobody did anything to him.
I mean, so I take it as if you were sitting and in charge of the House on that day, or if you were Speaker, then you wouldn't have taken the decision to declare those seats vacant.
I don't know. I wasn't in the chamber. I don't know what led to the ruling, the Speaker, but I'm sure that if any such matter were brought before me, it will not even see a discussion. From what I am told, it was a statement. When a member makes a statement, our rules, in-house rules, are that other members may contribute. And the contribution should not even generate controversy. If that is specifically our rules, your contribution should not generate controversy. So there should not be any occasion, in my view, from the rules, which will call for...
What would you have done differently?
Well, I would listen. You see, under our rules, if a person brings a petition, there's a petition committee. So you listen and you refer to the petitions committee to investigate and bring a report to the House. Then the report may be debated. If a member makes a statement, the Speaker finds that there are matters in it which are which requires further investigation, the Speaker may form a committee, an ad hoc committee, and refer the matter for to the committee to be investigated further and reported to the House. That's what I would have done.
That's what you would have done?
Yes.
Would you say that Speaker Bagbin was wrong in his decision to vacate the seats in the first place?
It does not lie in my mouth.
Well, I mean, you talked about Professor Michael Quay while he was Speaker, and Honorable Techiman South who told him that he was wrong in vacating the Femina seat.
Chair told him right in the chamber. If I were in the chamber, I probably would have suggested to him that he should look at it again. But it doesn't lie with me to make a pronouncement on whether he ought or ought not to. Because frankly, I wasn't in the chamber. Everything I know is what I've read. And I think that the best solution is what has been offered, that the Supreme Court will pronounce on what is the law. And that should bring finality to the matter.
I mean, you're saying that, but some have argued that that will constitute interfering in the business of Parliament.
How?
Because
the business of Parliament. Sometimes I wonder how. Of course, when people are non-lawyers, you can pardon them. But I've read some lawyers make that argument, and I find it very strange. The business of Parliament is subject to the Constitution. Any power given to Parliament is subject to the Constitution. The rules, how we do our business, the Constitution says that subject to this Constitution, Parliament may regulate its own business. So whatever step we take within Parliament, as long as it does not infringe on the Constitution, nobody will interfere. Nobody has a business to inquire. No court will ask any question relating to how we regulate ourselves. But in regulating ourselves, if we give ourselves powers that the Constitution is not giving us, or which conflicts with any of the clauses of the Constitution, then the Supreme Court can say, hey, you have exceeded the powers allowed you. I'll give you an example in the case in which the Deputy Speaker had whether he could vote or not. By our own standing on this, he said a Deputy Speaker presiding shall not vote. That was our rule. It had been in practice since 1993. Then, in this Parliament, it became an issue because both the Deputy Speakers were from the same side of the House. So anytime one of the Deputy Speakers was presiding, it means that the House, the side which had the Deputy Speakers were constrained. And then if they were constrained, you can't take a decision because on any matter there's no consensus. You can't take a decision. Right? That particular standing order, the sub-clause of the standing order, became an issue. Then one Abudullah or something took the matter to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, this clause, you have taken away the rights given to members of Parliament. Right? The power to regulate your own business does not include the power to take away the rights of a member of Parliament to vote. So we have struck down that particular clause. That is the law. In actual fact, it was never necessary because, as I said previously, there was always at least 5 more difference between one side and the other. So if the Deputy Speaker did not vote, it doesn't make a difference. And then there was never previously an occasion where both Deputy Speakers were from one side. Or no, there was. I think in the 3rd Parliament or so, when the minority supported Honorable Peter Ajete against, what was his name? HotIssues. Then the majority warned that we have an arrangement. If you don't agree to this arrangement, we will also present another, because usually the minority presents a candidate for the second deputy and nobody objects. The majority presents a candidate for first deputy. But when the majority presented a candidate against the speaker, the minority against the speaker preferred by the majority, then they said, okay, we also prefer a candidate against the second deputy. And they lost it. So even though Freddie Blay was from CPP, he was first leader, and then they brought Yakubu Alassane, who was from NPP. So all the three speakers were actually from one side.
We know that there have been calls for the speaker to reconvene Parliament. These 4 MPs in question, if that should happen, should they attend Parliament?
Well, what has the Supreme Court said? The Supreme Court has said that while this question of interpretation is before us, any previous steps you're taking, hold on with it. And they were specific. Let the specific members of Parliament attend Parliament until we determine. Is
that to say that, there wouldn't be need for the Speaker to then make an official announcement reversing what he had announced earlier for them to vacate the seat?
No, it doesn't have to, because it's the Supreme Court order. They have directed that every statement you have made, every declaration, suspend it, hold it. Go on as if nothing has happened until we determine the question.
Would it then be your position that on the day when, Parliament sat, the NDC caucus should have been on the minority side?
Frankly, I'm trying to present myself as above this petty partisanship. And so I'm not keen on discussing those things, but otherwise, that is a clear position. And let's make it clear. The law is what the Supreme Court says it is. That's all. Every other interpretation or thinking is irrelevant. The Supreme Court says, stop. Return to the status quo ante until we determine the matter before us. So what was the basis for the violent, if really not for necessary coercion? The leadership should have been cited in contempt. But I don't think that will help anybody.
The NDC leadership in Parliament? Okay.
But I don't think that will help anybody. Democracy means talking, exchanging ideas, negotiating. And if we move away from that and we move to silence, we probably have no business being in Parliament, because that is not democratic.
We'll take a quick break, come back and continue our conversation. Don't go away.
My life wasn't always like this. I worked in a bank and had money in bonds to cushion me for the future. Then, with a stroke of a pen, my life was destroyed. My bank was part of the 420 financial institutions which the NPP government recklessly collapsed. What was to become the life of the workers? No one in this insensitive government cared. And suddenly, I was jobless. Their incessant borrowing also led to a debt restructuring program that affected me, and just like that, a significant portion of my lifetime investment vanished. Even worse, my lifetime savings from 30 years of hard work has been rendered useless due to the continuous depreciation of the city and extremely high cost of living in the country. Now, look at me. The fruits of my toil and sweat have all gone down the drain because of bad leadership. What to eat with my children is even a struggle. God, Help me and the many who share in my pain. Let the wickedness of the wicked come to an end. Change must come.
Vote for change. Vote for John Mahama and the NDC.
Papa Sammy, I beg if you find something small, give us.
Bro Sammy, you see, nobody say boys no one do nothing and just they rely on handouts. Jobs no deal.
I understand the hassle. Hope they come. John Mahama, they come do the National Apprenticeship Program where he go sort you guys.
Brother Sammy, waiting with that.
John Mahama knows say no be everybody where won't work for office.
Like me.
That one day is true.
Under the National Apprenticeship Program, young men and women where they won't learn craft will be enrolled under the program and attached to a senior craftsman who will train them for free.
I beg you, mechanic day inside. Me like this, I don't want to learn mechanical, but the course no.
Mechanics day inside. Yeah. Organizing, dressmaking, fabric making, catering, hairdressing, tiling, painting. What they even sweet about this whole thing is say when you plead, the NDC government go make sure say they go give you certificate where you go fit take go look for job anywhere.
That's sweet. That's be wonderful.
Another wonderful thing be say when you plead, the NDC government go sound set you up with startup capital and equipment to make sure you can start your own business.
Wow! I dey go shopping my town wait 7th December.
Vote for change. Vote for John Mahama and the NDC.
I'm a Ghanaian and I love luxury accredited faith and I love democracy.
December 7th, Ghana is voting.
Only peace. Peace, I give it to you all.
I love Ghana.
Peaceful election before, during, and after.
One Ghana.
Peace. Peace to everybody.
One Ghana. Ghana.
This message brought to you from the luxury accredited faith.
Hey, to be champion.
My guest on Hot Issues is Bekwai MP and First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joe Osei-Owusu. Honorable, I am so grateful that you sat down with us. I do want to talk about, the leadership of Parliament now, particularly because, you thought that the events that have characterized Parliament in the last few days and weeks were very disappointing. But it also falls on the doorstep of leadership if somebody is not whipping the others the right way. Are you concerned about how this parliament is ending, possibly?
I'm concerned about how we have conducted ourselves as the 8th parliament together, all through. Somehow, I see the hawks on both sides of the house taking over. I don't see moderates coming forward. There are people who are seniors. They have seen all this through and have now matured into talking critical matters, discussing on both sides of the house. They appear to have withdrawn
If this
left the room for the hawks.
For the hawks?
Yeah.
But who are you referring to as the hawks?
They're hot-headed MPs. Those who jump and cross the maze, come to attack, those who take the speaker's chair, those things that have never happened in the Parliament of Ghana. Never. So, how did we get here?
I don't know. I hope you have the answer. How did we get here?
Either. I think that somehow, probably, it's a reflection of the times in the country. I recall I had a meeting with Dr. Kwesi Prempe, Dr. Chambers, and another, forgotten his name. And I said that you NGOs are not watching. It looks like we have abandoned all the political sites, abandoned any system of sieving who can and who must be a member of parliament. In the past, very senior members, if they say no, it's no, irrespective of who you are. If they don't think that you have the relevant integrity and the character to be a member of parliament, they will
not support your bid.
Yes, they will not let you contest on their ticket.
You are not returning with the next parliament.
Fortunately, I'm not.
Why do you say fortunately? You didn't like your job?
I loved the job. I loved the job so much. It was my dream job from primary 3 or so.
I see.
But I realized that there's an end to even loving something. At the point you get tired of it. I think I've done enough for my community. I've done enough for my country. And it is time to move. Because it was bound to happen anyway. If I stayed for the next 10 terms, I would die. So it was bound to happen. But I believe strongly in leaving when the applause is loudest.
I see.
When you've done enough for everybody in the community to recognize that before Joe came, we were here. Now we are here. So it is time to leave. Leave.
I mean, you may have come to the decision to leave, but were you incentivized in any way within your party?
Incentivized to leave?
Yeah, perhaps you were pressured a little bit to let go.
By who?
Were you frustrated to leave?
Well, I won't say frustrated. I felt content with what I've been able to achieve in the 16 years I've been in Parliament. I think that my contributions in the House are quite respectable. And then my constituency is very well settled in many ways.
So you're happy?
Very, very, very happy.
Okay.
Very happy with the work I've done. In fact, in the last 8 years, the achievements of this Baumia Akufo-Addo government surpasses all the previous parliaments put together in my constituency.
In your constituency?
Yes.
So what would they be happy about as you're leaving?
Now, everything that the constituency I cried about before I joined in have been provided for. Every corner of Bekwai town is started. The hospital that was started under a Champon, which was abandoned for many years, have been fully completed and is operational. Now, communities that were crying, so far I've left with just about 8 communities in all that have no tarred roads, tarred every corner. We have so many schools, basic schools, nurseries, so many of them built. The high school, there are 6 senior high schools. Each one of them has new classroom blocks, new dormitory blocks, dining halls, and things like that. The things that ordinary people cannot provide for from their pocket, government has done practically the highest. I mean, health centers, apart from the main hospital, many new health centers, new, what do you call these ones? The small ones we created, you know, they are scattered all over.
I see.
And then
the
young
people
men
of
and
Bekwai
women
have enjoyed,
yes, many young men and women have jobs in the last 8 years.
So do you wonder why, you know, that feeling does not resonate with the rest of the country when it comes to the current administration?
I don't know where you've been to, but I think that this government has done a lot more than people talk about here. I mean, I've just read Jantua saying that he's surprised at the volume of work and achievement, what government has achieved under this hands education training.
I see.
Yes.
But how do you come to that conclusion when the macroeconomic indicators, no, hang on, when the macroeconomic indicators say otherwise, when the Ghanaian people's purchasing power has significantly reduced?
I'm surprised when you talk about it. Where are you from?
I'm Gadangbe, I'm from Ningo Prompra.
Go there and talk about, what do you call it?
Macroeconomic indicators.
And see.
But I can tell you what my people say is that they don't have money. things are
Whenever
expensive.
have you heard that?
Things are
People
hang on, Honorable, hang on. I can tell you, my people also say that things are expensive. Life is much more difficult than this administration,
I'm only 62
when this
years
administration
young.
took over.
I'm only 62 years young. But every government I have seen, military, and the story has been the same. It's difficult. There's no money. It's the same. We never acknowledge that we have money. In fact, I recall when I was a private lawyer, that issue came up. Somebody bought another person's property and it became controversial. And the issue was, so I went for a loan. That was a question. The loan was from your bedroom.
Honorable, is the same doesn't make it false.
I'm not saying it. All I'm saying is that what you're talking about are people's personal income. They differ. I get 100 cedis may be sufficient for me, depending on where I live. I go to Bekwa, I don't spend 30 cedis on food. But if I'm in Accra, 30 cedis will not buy me food. So what you consider macroeconomic difficulty depends on where you live and what you do. But what I'm saying is that in the past 16 years, I've done community visits, several of them. In my communities, they're not interested in those things. All they care about are the small things. We don't have a public toilet. Our school building is collapsing. We walk too far to the hospital. Once you provide those things, how they survive, if they have difficulty, they will come to you. Honorable, my son or daughter is sick, I need this. I can't pay my school fees. And a lot of those challenges have been taken away from them. So the things we discuss here in Accra, I hardly get interested because those are not the things that are reflected in my constituencies. Whether they
but that's the point. If things were okay, they won't be coming to your office.
Yes, but when I was a private lawyer, I used to go to the Bekwa every weekend. And before I leave, I'll give everything I have. At that time, there was no democracy yet. Everything I have, I'll give and take money from my mom to buy fuel. So it's not new.
So if things are not okay and people are still going to the offices of MPs to get money, to get their problems solved, then this government hasn't lived up to...
It's not about okay. It's about
expectation.
It's about a culture. Everywhere. When people think that you have more, they'll come to you.
But if they have their own, they won't come.
You go and contest assemblyman and see whether they won't come, whether or not they have it. It is some cultural thing. Even in your own house, your brother is earning income, but when there's a contribution to be made, they wait and look at you. It's not that they don't have it, but as long as you expect that or they believe that you have more, they'll come to you. But that doesn't mean that people don't have hardships. People do. But I'm saying that when it comes to political decision making, those are not the things that matter to them.
Is it your position then that the lives of the Ghanaian people have improved far better or even better than it was under the previous administration?
Yes, if you want to compare with the previous administration, a lot better. Because what government has to do is to provide opportunities for you, create the environment to enable you make your own money, right? And I'm saying that the facilities that will enable the Ghanaian person who wants to work to make money have been improved in the last 8 years than the previous government.
I mean, it sounds like you said that only because I compared it to the NDC.
Well, not because you compared it.
So then your response is because you're a member of the NPP?
No.
And you have to speak for your party?
No, it is because that is what I live. I see it, right? If you come to Bekwa now, you go to the hospital there, there's everything there. In fact, as we speak now, the medical school KNUST is building their campus at the Bekwa, the new hospital. That is a vast improvement for the community. Right? If you go to any of the senior high schools, the kind of congestion that we experienced when we started FHS has been eased by investing. Parents, the kind of expenditure they had to make from their pocket for their children to go to school has been reduced. Right? So
some will say that's a debatable issue. But we're going
how
to
is that a debatable issue?
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll look at other matters. Don't go away.
Thank you, boss. See you next week. Yo, where is my passport? Where is my passport? Hey, Madam Waba.
What is that, Maba?
And then it's special.
Give me my passport.
Madam, relax. Relax.
You made me pay for express for 24 hours, and yet it's not in.
You told me that you are telling me this.
What's going on? Hello.
This man here has taken my money. That within 24 hours, he'll do my passport for me.
Oh, see, that's the same thing applies to me. He told me last night. He's telling me this week.
Process. That's what they do.
Yeah. Oh, madam. Please relax. I'll get for you in 24 hours.
Hey, Goroma. So you never change? Eh? You get passport for someone within 24 hours, Madam Obwa. See, the normal working hours is 9 to 5. Eh? Not 24 hours, yeah, I'm fat. I'm fat. You guys have made a very big mistake by trusting these people. Now, through digitalization, passport application has been made so easy. Now, you don't need to stress yourself and join any long queue for your passport. All you have to do is to log on to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs website and begin your application.
Oh, sir!
By buying a passport application voucher online. Simple and easy. And very soon, all you need to get your passport will be your Ghana card.
What is it true?
Yeah, Obisa. It is possible.
Sure. Vote number 1 on the ballot. Over 5 million children have benefited from free SHS. Protect free SHS. Vote Dr. Baumia, number 1 on the ballot.
Welcome back to Hot Issues. Honorable, are you convinced that the NPP is on its way to retaining power in the upcoming elections?
Well, looking at what I'm seeing, and I always will prefer to use the localities I know as the basis for coming to a conclusion. What I'm seeing, the kinds of things I hear people talk about, the kind of campaign I've seen around, it appears to me that the NPP will return to power.
But if it's your locality is already pro-NPP. And so it's no surprise you come to that conclusion.
No, but I'm saying, as I travel around, I do travel around a lot. I do a lot. And I see the things that people never used to experience. They're experiencing them, and they are praising government.
So the polls that put your candidate second to the NDC's candidate are wrong.
You see, when it comes to politics, everybody wants to try to demonstrate that he or she is ahead. But in this election, both parties have invested heavily in research. And I know that the research results doesn't show that my candidate Baumia is second. No.
Including the latest Afrobarometer report that indicates that Ghanaian people are not happy with the current administration.
Has it ever been the case that Afrobarometer report has said that people are happy? At least ever since they started. Right? But people vote, and they vote for government in power.
I want us to talk about your comments around Techiman South.
Techiman South.
The killings that took place in 2020. You made certain comments. Subsequently, you said you were misinterpreted. But were you really?
Kindly play what the interview, because we are speaking in what was the headline, has nothing to do with the discussion we're having. So, in fact, I think the person who interviewed me was from here.
Yes.
Get the TV. Let's play the TV and see.
So, you had an analogy of the fact that if an armed robber is killed, do we expect the president to speak about it?
Yes. So what I'm saying is that you said the president should apologize. You cannot apologize in a vacuum. You must determine that indeed the police erred. Until we have done that, it is inappropriate to ask the president to apologize. And you go and put it out that I said those who were killed are armed robbers. I mean, a lot of the things that have been put out in my name have nothing to do with what I've said. Recently, I granted an interview at, I think, Asase. And I said that if anybody was found mining on a water body, it should be shot. That's what I said in Parliament. I never used the word galamsey, and I was very careful, choose carefully not to use galamsey, because galamsey, mining in water body is galamsey, but illegal mining on land is also galamsey. So I restricted myself to mining in a water body. But your bloggers and your people prefer to choose. When I complain, they say that is the choice of the editor.
I see. So people mining on water bodies to be shot, you didn't seem to also have any commiserations for the Techiman killings as well.
No. The issue was whether the president should apologize or not. It's not about whether the people did something wrong or not. No. Who did what? You must determine that and find that indeed the officers who are the agents of the president did something wrong before you talk about it.
Do you still stand by that comment?
Oh, yes. My position is clear. If anybody is doing wrong and is shot, I will
today?
Not...
Were they doing wrong?
Yeah.
The Techiman,
I don't know. Has anybody done any investigation and brought any report?
Well, we've seen the investigative piece that indicated where these people were, how they were shot.
Who did that investigation?
Some people were shot in the back.
Who did that investigation?
You may have seen Erasmus Asaridonko's investigative piece.
But I would not rely on a journalist investigation. Often, they take sides before they start.
Right.
Regrettably. That's what I've seen. But if anything, and I think the general principle is what I repeat, anybody in the act of wrongdoing, I will not sympathize with.
I mean, but in that case, to think that we still do not know what happened officially from the police is disturbing, isn't it?
So many such instances that have happened. I don't know whether that, sometimes they do their report, they don't publish it.
Right.
So I'm not in a position to say whether or not they have done the report. What I know is that no such report has been published. But let's get it clear. If we're sitting here, and somebody is coming at us to attack, and the policeman comes here, and the policeman shoots that person, I will not sympathize with the person. If somebody is sitting on a water body, dredging and using equipment such that the water becomes, and in fact I give examples from my constituency.
You see, and that's my concern, that you make that example, because the Techiman South people, were they doing something wrong? Are you under the impression they were doing something wrong?
I don't know. I've not made any such comment. I've not made any such comment.
No, but the
We're using an analogy.
Yes, but in order for you to make an analogy, it means that you're suspecting that what you are comparing to may be similar.
No. What I'm saying is that the principle should be established that the people were shot for doing nothing. Until we have established that, it's not fair to ask the president to apologize for the conduct of policemen. Your officers, please have their own body for investigating wrongdoing in the police service. If the president goes about apologizing for
Honorable, respectfully, you know that included a teenager.
Which teenager?
Those who died in the Techiman South killings included a teenager.
I don't know. I've never known. I've never been interested. In any case, what was the teenager doing at the
collation center? But teenagers vote also.
So you're not talking about.
And then
you're
at the
talking
end
about
of
an
the
adult, 18-year-old and more.
And then at the end of the day, I mean, you know, but it must even happen in your constituency that once the voting ends and counting is going on, people just want to know what's going on.
And when nothing,
and I don't think anybody should be shot because they want to know what's going on.
If nobody does anything wrong, yes, you're right.
Right.
But if somebody brings a threat to the people there or the electoral material, then there's nothing wrong if that person is shot.
I see. But Honorable, the fact that it also resonates when you talk about people on our water bodies, that they should be shot. Are you a violent man?
You know me. You are supposed to give your own verdict of me. I'm generally not a violent man, but I'm fully in support of using whatever means to enforce the law. Law enforcement is the most important thing. I mean, we cite America as the most civilized country, if not. Can you misbehave before a policeman in America? You won't get out of your car. But nobody complains.
Right.
Because they put it out. Don't do A, B, C, D, E. If you do it and you're shot, you don't come back to complain. But we, Ghanaians generally, we seem to think that even if the person is wrong, he should not be punished, should not be shot.
I see.
I mean,
so I take it as you support Dr. Bawumia when he was confronted with that question, and he didn't, say anything about it. The question of apologizing or speaking to the Techiman South killings.
When was that?
During his encounter with the media, he was asked about speaking to and apologizing, if necessary, for the Techiman South killings.
And what did he say?
Nothing.
Probably he thinks like me. If there's no wrongdoing, why should I apologize?
And so you stand by him? Because he was criticized heavily for that.
Well, what haven't we criticized for? Even for doing the right thing, you will criticize for it. It is our nature. Why is his glasses on the table and why is he not wearing it? You'll be criticized. Why is he not leaning on the right but leaning on the left? As for that, being criticized is a way of also a feedback, how people think. It doesn't mean you agree with them, but it makes you understand how people also think. I am an out-and-out avid supporter of law enforcement. And if anybody misconducts himself in front of policemen, the risk to the policeman's life, risk to other people's life, the person can and ought to be shot.
Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
My guest has been First Deputy Speaker of Parliament and Bekwai MP, Honorable Joseph Osei-Wusu. Thank you for watching us. This is Hot Issues. I'm Kemeni Amano. Bye-bye.
Nana, who are you voting for this year?
How about area? As for this question, you need not ask. John Mama and the NDC, of course. Who else? You know there should be a change. Maybe I should have brought my to our papa.
Hey, Nana, born before computer.
Yeah,
do you still remember how to vote?
I am so sharp. On December 7th, when I get to my police station, I'll take my voter's ID card to the EC officer. He will check, find my name, and give me a ballot paper. I'll inspect the ballot paper and make sure the EC stamp is at the back with no other markings around it. When I get to the box, I will just inspect the paper again, search for the umbrella. I will just put my thumb in the ink pad and stamp the empty box just by the umbrella, not on the line or Mohammed's face, but in the empty box just by the umbrella. Then I clean my hand, fold my ballot paper vertically and horizontally, and drop it straight into the presidential box.
Ah, now well done.
On the parliamentary candidates, I'll just stamp my hand in the empty box just by the umbrella. Now I'm done. Give it back.
Hey, na.
Vote for change. Vote for John Mahama and the NDC.
The 5 kg of rice has moved from 25 cedis to 165.
Hey! Boss, cement moved from 24 cedis to 105 cedis now.
Hey! The kenke is 5 cedis. The fish, I have 10, 15, and 20 cedis. Which one do you want?
Hey!
Stop the A.
Hey!
Vote for change. Vote for John Mahama and the NDC.
Mama, stop worrying. How is Kobna? I got some of his medication. His friends are raising funds to support us.
The kidney disease has taken the toll on my son.
And our father says so.
Mama, there is hope. The pharmacist told me about Mahama's policies on chronic diseases. John Mahama is going to establish the Mahama Cares Fund to support Ghanaians with kidney diseases, sickle cell, cancer, diabetes, hypertension and other heart conditions to support and ease the financial burden on families like ours. Mama, but that is not all. Ghanaians can access free health care when they go to the CHIPS compound, health centers, clinics and polyclinics. Mama, we have to vote wisely for Kobne's sake. Mama, wipe your tears. Wipe your tears. Mahama cares.
Vote for change. Vote for John Mahama and the NDC.